Yes, the Castlenovians. As you can see, I think we've started now. Maybe we haven't. I'll say that again. Yes, the Castlenovians. Yes, the Castlenovians. As you can see, I'm taking full advantage of golden hour. Look like a ripe melon. Beautiful. So what I'm going to do in this live stream is I'm going to give you anti-game artistry principles, which will allow you to attract hotter women faster than a priest deletes his browsing history. So if you're thinking, the fuck is anti-game? Fear not, all will be revealed in due course, young Padawan. But really, anti-game is a two middle finger salute to this entire dating industry, right? Because the problem that I saw with most dating advice online was it's all focused on helping men become more attractive, adding more things, add more lines, add more fake confidence, get your fucking eyebrows threaded. But really, it fails to address the main question, which is attractive to who? Because if you're somebody who wants to live the dating life that you know you're capable of, the best thing that I can say to you is if you're attempting to be everything to everybody, then you'll quickly become nobody to nobody, right? So this game is not about universal approval. It's not about trying to be universally attractive. It's understanding that division is desirable, polarization is profitable. And underneath this video, you'll see a link. And if you hit that link, it'll take you over to my landing page. And on that landing page, I break down my entire I put my fucking teeth back in, my full anti-game artistry system in detail. And I know what I'm teaching you works because I've already taught it to over 200 guys who used to struggle with confidence, cold approach, dating. And after installing this system, they were able to start attracting hotter women with more certainty, more predictability, more reliability, and essentially just feel good about themselves. So it's okay if you disagree with the things that I'm saying. In fact, if you follow the philosophy of anti-game, then being able to disagree and challenge opinion, challenge the status quo, ask yourself, is this true? Is this true for me? What do I believe to be true about the world that isn't? Anti-game artistry is not just a way of approaching dating life. It's really a philosophy that will help you excel in all areas of life. So the things I'm going to share in this video, I really hope that they improve your dating life. I think even if you just implement one of the things that I share in this stream, and definitely in the free training below, then you'll already see massive differences in your dating life. And the best part is, you don't even need to change anything about yourself because the guys that I work with, they're already doing well in life. Yeah, they've got the materialistic trophies, they've accrued status and success, they look good, they've got their finances on point, and they're already fuckable, right? They've already got everything they need to live an incredible dating life. But for them, it's not about adding anything new. It's really about the removal. It's attraction through subtraction, okay? Because you might be the same right now. You've probably got everything you need to live a great dating life. For you, it's just buried beneath bullshit, pretense, conditioning, in the same way that you've already got a six-pack. If you can't see your six-pack right now, it's just because it's buried beneath a layer of fat. So you don't need to get abs. You simply need to remove everything, which is preventing your abs being visible. And that's really what I'm doing with my guys. I'm not teaching them how's the cold approach. I'm teaching them how they can become the version of themselves who cold approach can work for. And really, this is a process of unlearning. Yeah. In the same way that when Michelangelo was asked how he carved the statue of David, he said, I removed everything that wasn't David. So these live streams, they're very chaotic, they're very spontaneous. I go off on these existential tirades at points. So if you want a clear, concise system to follow that has already been proven by over 200 guys to get you the results that you want in dating, if you're fed up with the mainstream advice out there and you're looking for something new, you're looking for something different, you're looking for something which is rooted in repulsion, then click the link below this video. You can access the free training. This is the same system that guys pay me thousands of dollars to help them implement. You can watch that video, go on your own merry way and implement it on your own. So yeah, either watch that video, watch this live stream, watch the rest of the videos on this channel. But for now, I want to get into some foundational anti-game principles. So yeah, if you enjoy these live streams, drop them a like. I'm going to make sure that my phone doesn't overheat because there's quite a big bit of sun at the moment. That's probably better. Yeah, fuck it. We'll see what happens. Okay, so the first principle that I want to install into your mind is division creates desire. Okay, the issue with dating, as I described earlier, was most guys today, they're trying to be universally attractive. They're going out there hoping and praying that every woman wants them. Okay, but one of the best realizations that I ever had was the majority of women on this planet are just not going to want to fuck you, right? And once you've understood and truly internalized that, when you're going out there to cold approach, you're not going out there to find the maybe girls. You're going out there to find your fuck yeses, the women who just like you for you. And this is one of the greatest realizations that I install into my clients. If you can understand that it's the amplification of your authenticity that'll get you rip-roaring success in dating, everything changes, okay? It's the amplification of what is authentic to you. So let me put this into a concrete example. I'm a weird motherfucker, as you probably realize. I'm a strange person. I've got my own idiosyncrasies. I've got my quirks. I used to feel ashamed of myself for many, many years. I used to compare myself to other guys like, oh, I don't have the same amount of muscles or status or money. Oh, I'm doomed forever. But the reason why this comparison trap can be unhealthy, not all the time, people think that comparison is a thief of joy. It can be. But also, I do think a lack of comparison can be the thief of progress. I think it's good if you see a guy who's got a better body than you and you think, okay, if he's been able to achieve that, I can do it as well. But it's not to say that you need to get the body in order to get the woman. It's more so you're doing the thing because it pleases you to do so. It feels good to look in the mirror and think, do you know what? I would bone myself. That's a nice feeling to have. But when you're amplifying what's authentic to you, then really it's not a case of competing with other guys at the games that they are already winning. It's really operating in a market of one. Okay, so what I mean by this is, like I say, I'm quite a weird person. I've got my own quirks and things which they just come natural to me. So when I was 18 years old, I was still a virgin at this point, and I went over to university. So I went to the University of Liverpool. I studied English literature. And one day I was at a house party and this girl walks through the door. And bear in mind, at this point, I'm a virgin. I've got no idea how to talk to women. And the only thing that flashed through my mind at this point was, do you know what? I'm just going to say whatever comes to mind, because I tried going to the clubs with the people that I was living in halls of residence with, and I tried to be smooth. I tried to be suave. I tried to act alpha, but it all kept blowing back in my face. Why? Because it didn't feel real to me, and the women could pick up on that. And this is why most compliments don't land. Okay, if you're giving women compliments and the compliments are not landing, it's because the compliment typically has got nothing to do with her. It's got everything to do with you, right? It's coming from a place of scarcity as opposed to abundance. In other words, I will say this thing in the hopes that you like me more. All of the best decisions come from a place of abundant authenticity, meaning I'm just going to do this thing because it's aligned with who I am as a person and it pleases me to do so. Anyway, I'm at university. I'm in this at this house party. Girl comes through the door. Beautiful woman, like beautiful girl. So I get talking to her, and the first thing that come out my mouth that I can remember right now is I remember saying to her, I haven't been able to stop shitting myself recently. I've got this really bad bout of freshers flu. Do you fancy having a thumb war? And the reason why this works, and this girl became my first ever girlfriend, so she was a girl that I ended up losing my virginity to. And it was funny as well because when I introduced this girl to the rest of the people who I was at university with, they looked at her, then they looked at me, and they said, Christian, how the fuck did you get her? Because back then, 18 years old, I looked like complete horseshit. But the thing that was working in my favor, and the reason why she was attracted to me, was because I wasn't trying to be anything that I wasn't, right? I was simply amplifying what was authentic to me. I wasn't trying to compete with other guys for body or popularity. I was like, okay, what are my biggest strengths? I've got a good sense of humor. I've got quite a twisted sense of humor. I know that I'm funny. So once you've got a clear understanding of what makes you elite, that's what you lean in with. In the same way that now, when I work with my clients one on one, let's say I'm working with a guy who is more logical. Let's say he's an analytical, logical guy who thinks very strategically and seriously about important decisions. The last thing that I'm going to say to him is, hey, dude, what I need you to do is become a stand up comedian. You need to be 100 times more playful in your conversation. But that's not congruent to him. So it's not going to work. Instead, what I get my guys to do is just lean in to what's authentic to them. So if you are more of an introverted, logical, analytical guy, lean into that because you're more serious and you can have more of a grounded masculine energy. You can actually allow the silence to do more of the work in your conversations. You'll probably find it easier to build more sexual tension because you're not erratic, you're not high energy, you're not trying to be this street performer. So really, once you understand yourself, you can lean in to what is advantageous to you. But the mistake that most guys make is they're trying to wear all of these different masks. They're trying to be universally liked. They want universal approval. And a lot of the times, dude, it's not your fault either because nobody's ever sat you down and taught you this stuff. Like it's taken me years to come to these realizations. So the journey of a million miles starts with a single step. So the best thing that I can say to you today is go outside, give yourself 30 minutes to do 3 direct call approaches and just see that the goal for these approaches isn't to get dates, phone numbers, happy endings. The goal is to present yourself as you are, as opposed to how you think you need to be. So that starts off with giving the woman a genuine compliment. And then when you are in your conversations, this is really important as well, being able to disagree with what women say, being able to challenge her opinion on things, because challenging, when done right, comes from a place of love. Imagine your best friend can't stop chain smoking. If you're a bad friend, you would just allow him to continue to do that. But if you've got his best interests at heart, you would challenge him on what he's doing. You'd be like, yo, Kevin, stop putting those cigarettes in your mouth, dude. Like it's gonna kill you, right? So it's the same with women. If you're chatting with a girl and she's like, "Oh, I hate my job at the moment. It's making me depressed," rather than just being like, "Oh yeah, that sucks," you can look at her and be like, "Well, why don't you leave?" You know what I mean? Like I've been in plenty of situations in my life where I wasn't happy with my current reality, but I knew nobody was coming to save me. I know it can be scary to take that leap of faith sometimes, but I think staying where you are sounds more destructive. Do you get what I'm saying? But a lot of guys, they're because they want to be universally attractive. Maybe you didn't get laid a lot as a young man, and you're trying to overcompensate now. And it's easy to develop these people pleasing tendencies where you're scared of rocking the boat, you're scared of pissing people off. But it's polarity that's profitable, and this means you're gonna miss out on a lot of women, and that's okay because a lot of guys they have this fear of rejection, but through the lens of anti-game artistry you see rejection not as a bad thing. You see it as a filter. Like my guys, they're not going out there running game. They're running a filter because here's the crazy part. Even if you wanted every woman, you just don't have the capacity to handle every woman. Like how many people are there on the planet? About 7 billion people. Maybe about 3.5, 4 billion of them are women. So you can't afford every woman to say yes. You need the majority to say no. In the same way that if you're a business owner and someone's like, oh, how many clients do you want to take on this month? You can't handle billions of people who come through the door. You have to have a specific number. Like, okay, I can handle 5 new clients this month. So what that means is you need some people to say no. You need the majority of people to say no because through the lens of anti-game artistry, especially if you just want a girlfriend, then you only need one at the end of the day. Yeah, you only need one woman to think that you are fucking awesome and you've cracked the game of dating. I think this is another trap that guys fall into because they're trying to be universally liked, because they've probably consumed a lot of this outdated red pill content online that, dude, you need to have a rotation of women. Yeah, you need to build a harem. You need to be this high value dude. When the reality is, when I sit down with my guys who I work with one on one, the majority of guys just want to be wanted, right? The majority of guys just want to have a best friend that they can have sex with. That's what they want, and that's a noble goal. If your goal is to find a wife-worthy woman that you can start a family with, you don't want to live this player lifestyle. Maybe you're in your late 30s now and you're thinking, nah, those years have gone. I actually want to create something meaningful with a wife-worthy woman. Happy fucking days. You only need one, right? You only need one woman to think that you're cool, to be happy. Do you know what I'm saying? So there's a really great piece of literature which underscores the importance of polarization and attracting your people and repelling the rest, because that is what not just my dating strategy, but my life game strategy is a strategy based around repulsion. Okay. Being repulsive is the way you win. And it's not repulsive in some vulgar, obnoxious way where you're parading around the pavements like fucking Shrek. It's repulsive in the sense of you will repel people via your truth. Yeah. If everybody likes you, you're not living, you're hiding. And that's a sad place to be. Okay, so when I make content online, when I cold approach, when I first started making videos, I need the majority of people to dislike me. Even better, I need people to hate me, because the worst thing that you can be in life is vanilla, right? The best thing you can do is go to a barbecue of 100 people who support Chelsea Football Club and say with the loudest voice, I think Chelsea is shit, right? Because once you start to give yourself permission to be disliked, things like rejection or a lack of validation or people giving you criticism, it doesn't affect you the same way anymore, right? So this piece of literature, it's called 1,000 True Fans. I spoke about it in the past. But really, if you're running, let's say, a business online, you only need 1,000 people to think you're fucking awesome. And imagine 1,000 people were paying you $1,000. Yeah, imagine 100,000 people knew about you and 99,000 people fucking hated you, never would buy anything from you. But imagine you've got 1,000 diehard fans who just love everything that you do. They watch every piece of content you put out. They buy every product that you release. This is how you win. It's not about being everything to everybody. It's about being the right somebody for the right somebodies. But because our egos crave universal approval, it's okay at the start if you do find that when you're going out there to cold approach, you are looking for approval, you are looking for validation. It's a process at the end of the day. So that's the first thing. It's understanding that desire is created by division. Even if you think of a company like Apple, okay, a lot of people don't like Apple. They don't buy Apple products. I remember I was in London once, I was walking past the Apple store, and there was this huge protest going on by these like human rights activists who were campaigning outside of Apple. I was thinking to myself, Apple have played this game so well. They have emotionally intoxicated people to such a degree that they are now campaigning outside of their stores. Fair fucking play, Apple, because Apple's brand loyalty is based around division as opposed to universal approval. So the people who love Apple really fucking love Apple, right? They are their biggest cheerleaders. And it's the same in dating as well, right? Your brand loyalty is based around division. If every woman likes you, then it means you're too agreeable. It means you're too nice. They might like you, but they're probably not thinking about fucking you. It's the guys who can divide the masses. It's the guys who've got contrarian opinions, the guys who can go to a Chelsea barbecue and just say, do you know what? I think Spurs are better. Here's why. And I just seeing it more as a game as well, like having a sense of humor with this shit. I think that's so important. I think it's easy when you're learning cold approach, take everything seriously. Oh, must go out, must do 100 sets, must be militant. And yeah, that's okay for a time being, but when you actually start having fun with this, it changes the game. Like the guys that I work with, we've got a private community called the Entourage, and it's a private WhatsApp group, and people are they're sharing their wins, they're sending in their audio infield recordings, they're making videos of themselves outside in public, and success is contagious, right? Proximity is power. When you see other guys who are laughing their way through life, enjoying themselves through this process, you become successful through osmosis. You realize, oh, it's not that deep. In 100 years' time, all of this is going to be space dust and ashes. So whilst we are alive on this earth, don't die with your music still inside of you. And I can't underscore this point enough, that rejection is necessary. You have to be rejected, because if you're not being rejected, you're not pushing yourself hard enough, you're not being polarizing enough. I would definitely recommend that you start recording the audio of your conversations as well, because then you'll be able to see, okay, where am I going wrong here? Do I sound too nice? Am I too much of a people pleaser? Am I giving off these closet heterosexual gay best friend vibes? I was working with a guy in London recently, incredible guy, who he's been making lightning progress since that immersion, but his biggest problem was he was just far too nice. He was 50 years old, and the advice that I gave him was long overdue, right? He'd never been given brutally honest, no bullshit feedback in his life. And after listening to his conversations, I was like, dude, you're just too nice. In your conversations, you sound gay. The women think that you are gay. Like, there's no polarization there. And the reason why, and again, this is why I say to you, it's not learning anything new. It's removing the bullshit. It's removing the conditioning. It's removing the belief that you need to act like a closet heterosexual because you've probably got shame at the moment. You probably think cold approaching women and disagreeing with women and going after what you want, putting your head above the parapet, you probably think it's wrong in some way, right? So after working with this guy, once he took the feedback on board, it was night and day, right? He was closing women. He was getting contact details. He's gone back home to his home city now. He was out yesterday getting phone numbers, things that he wouldn't have envisioned it was possible for him prior to this coaching experience. And the biggest shift is the removal of the unnecessary. Again, if you hit the link below this video, I walk you through the full anti-game artistry system in step-by-step detail. That gives you a more coherent understanding of the process that's already worked for over 200 guys. With the core understanding, you already have everything you need. It's just bullshit, which is blockading you right now. So first link below this video, you can steal my entire system. You don't need to pay me a penny. It's all there for you to gobble up and consume. So the second principle of anti-game artistry is to burn the mask, okay? Most people fall into relationships with strangers because they present themselves not as they are, but as they think they need to be. And this is a problem with old school pickup / game advice. It focused on the 10-minute sales pitch. It focused on say these lines and you'll get the result that you want. But the problem with that is it's focused on acquisition as opposed to retention. So it teaches you how to get women, but it doesn't teach you how to keep women. So my favorite dating strategy, let's say I'm on a first date with a girl, I just say whatever comes to mind. It's the reason why on these live streams over the years, I've just been incredibly honest about the person that I used to be. I make it apparently clear that I used to be addicted to porn. I used to have erectile dysfunction. I used to hate myself, blah, 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 blah. And the reason why is because if I ever found myself on a date with a woman, and I imagine she's watched all of my content, then she already knows everything about me. Rather than trying to cling to this idea of perceived status and wanting to be seen as a high value guy who's got his life together, putting on this act, it's like, this is me, take it or leave it, right? Because that is the dating strategy that's worked for me. It's the whole philosophy behind anti-game artistry. It's not trying to be attractive. It's focused on being repulsive, okay? Because once you start to repel people, the women who were never meant for you in the first place, that's when you win. Because the last thing that you want is to end up in a relationship with a woman who fell for the idea of you rather than the actual you. I've had this so many times in the past where I ended up getting into relationships with women who never chose me. They chose the mask. Yeah. And it's a horrible place to be because you realize at some point this mask is going to slip. She's going to realize that you're not the fun loving, extroverted guy who loves doing backflips off of Bondi Beach, right? She's going to realize that you're actually quite an introverted guy who enjoys spending time on his own and doesn't have the biggest of friendship circles. So the easiest thing to do is lead with authenticity from the start. And then you give people the permission to choose. And I understand it can be a scary thing at the start because it feels vulnerable. Authenticity is difficult, right? But I think this is why an interesting thought I had recently was I think this is why content like this, like live stream content, I feel as though it hits different, especially in the world right now where AI is such a dominant force. If you're watching polished, edited, scripted YouTube videos, it just doesn't hit the same. Like when I make live streams like this, most of the time I've got no fucking idea what's going to come out of my mouth. So you get to see me in real time. I feel like you get a stronger connection with me because it's like, oh, this is how Christian actually is. This is how he thinks. This is how he communicates. And I don't know. I think with the world, the way that the world is going now, where in not too long of a time we're going to have things like AI sex dolls, where it's going to be very easy for men to spend their entire lives at home. They just put on their VR headset and they just start shagging their AI robot doll, whatever the fuck they're going to be doing. I think even despite all of these things, I think we're always going to crave this human connection because I think the difference between having sex with a woman and masturbation is it's the psychological element, right? Let's say you've put your balls on the line, you've gone out, you've cold approached, you've met a woman, you've created something out of nothing, you've gone on the date, you've amplified what's authentic to you, you've brought her back to your place, you've had a magical evening. For me, a huge part of that orgasm is the psychological satisfaction that you achieved that. You created a magical moment with this beautiful woman. And it's not a zero-sum game either. Do you know what I mean? It's not a case of because you copulate with a woman, it's not a case of you win and she loses. No, if you can have the mindset that when you're going out there to meet women, women are craving connection. We're all craving this connection, yeah? So rather than seeing it as this creepy, weird thing, like, oh, I'm going out there to meet women today. Oh, that's so weird, bro. Like, motherfucker, you are the creator of magical experiences. Yeah. Imagine, like, if I met me in real life, I'd be so fucking happy to get to know me, right? And that's the same mindset that I want to install in you because I think it's overrated or just be confident, bro. But for me, the way that I define confidence is optimism in the absence of certainty. That's how I define it. And I don't think that confidence has got anything to do most of the time with competence. Have you ever watched that film? I think it's called Catch Me If You Can with Leonardo DiCaprio. And it's a guy who he assumes lots of different identities. I think at one point he's a pilot and then he's a surgeon. He's got no skills in any of these areas, so he doesn't have any competence. But his confidence comes from optimism in the absence of certainty. He understands that no matter what happens, he'll be able to handle it, right? Put him into any situation and he'll be okay. So that's what I think confidence is. Yeah, it's going out there, not having all of the answers, not fully being sure of what you're doing, but putting yourself into those situations anyway, recognizing that you're not going out there with a take mindset, right? You're going out there with a give mindset. And doing something like daytime cold approach, it puts you in the rarefied realm of men. Even if your approaches are shit at the moment, that's okay. I was shit for years. But I think once you can see something like daytime cold approach as it's personal renaissance. It's the most aggressive form of self-development. You become a new person, or I guess not necessarily a new person, but you become closer to your core because every approach that you do, it's stripping back a layer of the conditioning. And the more reps that you do, the better you get. And you might have felt it yourself. If you've gone out and you've done 30 approaches in a day, you've not been checking your phone, you've not been plugged into the matrix, you've not been getting distracted by external entities, you feel incredible. You start to ride in this state of what I call godly frequency, where you can start experiencing success in advance as opposed to failure in advance. So really, when I'm going out there, I'm not chasing women, I'm chasing a feeling. Yeah. And that's why I view cold approach as almost a religious practice. I think all religions are a bridge that should take us closer to the divine. And once I've dive bombed into discomfort by doing lots and lots of cold approach reps, I feel incredible. It's like I've got this like invisible cloak of invincibility where I feel as though I can do anything. So I can't remember what the point was. Like, oh yeah, burn the mask. In fact, when you have been doing lots and lots of reps with cold approach, you actually feel more connected to your authentic self. Like when you first get out there at the start of any day, usually you've got those self-limiting thoughts. Yeah, usually you've got your lower self, which is trying to claw you back into the comfort quicksand of complacency. But once you put a lot of points on the board, understanding the way you start isn't the way you finish, by the end of that session, you just feel unapologetically, ruthlessly you. right? And it's from that place that you can start connecting with your women. And this is why the compounding effect of cold approach is so important, because I've worked with plenty of guys who've got themselves long-term partners, girlfriends, fiancés. And let's say I work with a guy, I'm thinking about one of my guys, Sean, who after 182.5 days of working with me, he met his fiancée. But he didn't get his fiance through that approach. He got his fiance through all of the repetitions which preceded that approach. Okay, so if you can understand that, it's like compounding interest. If you do 3 approaches today, 5 approaches tomorrow, over the course of 2, 3, 4 months, you're going to feel different. You're going to feel more aligned. You're going to feel more tapped in. And then when you see sexy Susie strutting past you on the street, and let's say she becomes your girlfriend, it wasn't that approach that did it. It was all of the approaches before that. In the same way that once you've got a body that you're proud of, it wasn't one gym session that got you that body. It was all of the relentless pursuit up to that point. And that's why for me, it's not day game, it's life game. Okay. It's the interconnectivity of everything that you're doing. Somebody asked me the other day, Christian, I've heard you speak about feeling fulfilled in your life. And from that place of fulfillment, that's when you can have a great dating life. How do you actually do that? For me, it's just doing lots and lots of things which scare me. That's it. I think the way for men, anyway, to live an incredible life is through challenge, is through adversity, is through struggle. Yeah, it's not through comfort. It's not taking the easy path. For me, it's always been taking the path of most resistance, because then I can feel satisfaction with myself. I can get to the end of my days and I feel exhausted with accomplishment. And it's not to say I always want to do the things. I don't. I don't always want to make these live streams. I don't always want to go out into London and make in-field content. I don't always want to go to the Muay Thai gym and get my ass kicked. But I understand belief follows action. And I'm falling in love with my future because I understand how great it feels to do 30 approaches in a day. I understand how great it feels to do a solo skydive. I understand how great it feels to do 90 minutes of intense Muay Thai. So a lot of times people are like, oh, you got to enjoy the process, dude. I understand that to a degree, but I'm more fixated on the end result now because I know how beautiful that end result feels. That allows me to navigate any difficult periods. Let's say I don't want to do a live stream. I remind myself how great I feel at the end of these streams. I feel electric. I feel as though I've got this social momentum. I've got my entourage group coaching call later. So by doing this, I'm going to show up to that group coaching call more socially, spiritually, energetically tapped in. So I think living a fundamentally fulfilling life, for me, it just comes down to doing lots and lots of difficult things over a long enough time horizon. Understanding as well, these are not games that we ever complete. They're games that we never want to stop playing, right? Dating, business, fitness. I don't think you get to a point where it's like job done. I think you're either in a deficit or you're in a surplus. I don't really agree with, oh, I'm maintaining right now. I think you're either growing or you're declining. So I think that's the mistake a lot of guys make. It's like they get the girl and then they take their foot off the gas, they slack off, and they stop being the version of themselves who that woman fell for in the first place. So I'm in a relationship right now, and I understand that the game really starts once you're in a relationship, because again, it's a difference between acquisition and retention. How do I continue being the version of myself that my girl fell for in the first place? Or even better, how do I become an even better version of myself, which allows her to become better as well? So by me having this obsession with progression, it enables everybody around me to step up as well. So my girlfriend is watching me go to Muay Thai, create content, pushing myself on a daily basis. And that makes her want to become better. Yeah. I think we owe it to the people that we love to become as ridiculously wealthy as possible, to get into the best shape possible, to become as socially competent as possible. Because when you understand it's not just about you, that's when things started to change for me. I realized that when I don't want to do Muay Thai, when I don't want to do cold approach, when I don't want to do live stream, I'm like, fuck your feelings, Christian. It's not about you. It's for your future family. It's for future generations. It's for your mum. It's for your girlfriend. It's for the guys in the world who need to hear this content. So it's not about me anymore. I had to overcome that because I'm a selfish person. I think we all are to an extent. I don't think selfish is good or bad. I think it's the thinking that makes it so. I think selfish just means you put yourself first, which is realistically what everybody's doing. Do you know what I mean? Like the whole world is motivated by self-interest. I do believe that men are loved for the value that they provide. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think most relationships are transactional, whether you want to admit that or not. But the reason why you like me is probably not because of my beautifully, uh, beautifully, beautifully, my beautiful personality. It's probably because I just give you value. That's it. Like, you wouldn't watch these streams if there wasn't a benefit for you. Do you know what I'm saying? So if you look at the friendships that you've got, the business connections that you've made, everything in life, it's transactional. It just is. And that might seem callous or cold hearted, but I don't think so. Because once you can start seeing the world as it is, as opposed to as you would like it to be, that's when things start changing for you, right? Because a woman is not gonna go on a date with you unless there is benefit in that to her. In the same way that the only reason we do anything is because we want to do it. I think that's in How to Make Friends and Influence People, which is a great starting point for learning more about human nature. The only way you can make anybody do anything is they have to want to do it. Yeah. So really, the game is, how can I create a compelling why? How can I give this person a compelling reason that benefits them to go on a date with me? And again, play to your strengths. If you've got a great sense of humor, maybe you have got a great body, maybe you've got a massive, easy, social media following, like whatever the fuck it is, leverage it. It's like when I was working with Genki, the Japanese guy in London. He had a massive social media following. So rather than taking WhatsApp numbers, I was like, dude, take Instagrams, because his Instagram has got like tens of thousands of followers. So just use it. Do you know what I mean? Use what you've got. That's what it's about. But yeah, burning the mask is important. You know, whatever pretense you present into the world, it might work, but not for the long term. Because eventually the mask is going to slip. So it's important to lead with unfiltered, unapologetic authenticity. Again, watch the free training below, link below. You can gobble up the anti-game artistry system. I'll walk you through how to do all this stuff in step-by-step detail. So yeah, first link below. Actually, I think it's the only link. Click on that and you can watch it. It's about 28 minutes long. It's a meaty motherfucker. And then the final thing that I wanted to share with you, which is really important, is embarrass yourself often, right? I think a lot of guys, they see something like Cold Approach and they think to themselves, oh, this is cringy. Oh, I would never do that. And it's like, motherfucker, that's the reason why you're not getting laid, because you're so scared of what other people think. I think once you start to give yourself permission to look like a tit in public, realize that real life is messy. Real life is chaotic. It's uncomfortable. Cold Approach is chaotic. It's uncomfortable. Nobody ever really wants to do it. It's much easier to just sit at home and wank yourself off to your AI girlfriend. Nobody really wants to do it because it's uncomfortable. So really, when you're doing something like Cold Approach, you're not fighting against yourself. You're fighting against your lower self, the self that just wants to stay in the cave and be warm and cozy. But I think a really practical exercise you can start doing, I get my guys in the entourage to do this as well. If you've got a fear at the moment of being seen in public, like being seen to be this weird guy, don't avoid the spotlight, embrace the spotlight. Just start recording yourself in public. I did this for years, where I would just get my iPhone out. I'd go to a busy area of my city, whether I was in Amsterdam, whether I was in Bangkok, whether I was in London, and I would just record a video of myself out in public, and I would be soaking in that social spotlight, even though I didn't want to do it, even though people were looking at me, even though I felt like a twat. Being able to embarrass yourself and put the social spotlight onto you, in my opinion or in my experience, that's what starts to breed confidence. And also, if you've already made a video of yourself in public, probably something that you don't want to do, then when it comes to doing some cold approaches, it'll already feel like you've done 4 or 5 approaches at that point, because you've already put yourself through the social fire. And I wrote down here as well, I think it's important that you do hit these rock bottom moments in your life, because I think there's a thing that I call car crash clarity. And the best moments in my life have been when I've hit rock bottom, right? When I've just hit a point where I'm not happy, where I know I could be doing more. I know I'm capable of more, but my reality doesn't match my expectations. And that's why in 2020, that was the breakthrough year in my life. I was 23 years old, addicted to porn. I just come out of a long-term relationship. Not because that was a bad relationship, but I saw the relationship that I was in. I saw the trajectory my life was heading. And I was like, do I really want to be in this relationship for the rest of my life? The answer was no. So I broke up with that girl. it was the first time that I'd ever broken up with anybody, and I pursued cold approach. And at the start, it was fucking brutal. I was getting rejected. I was getting humbled. I realized I was far from being my most fuckable self. I was living in a grotty apartment, which was infested by cockroaches. I was working a dead end job for minimum wage. I didn't feel like I was getting the recognition that I wanted. But I realized where I was exactly where I deserved to be. I knew that nobody was coming to save me. I knew that all I was worthy of at that point was exactly what I had. And I had to hit that rock bottom moment to see, like, I didn't just see cold approach as a dating strategy. I saw it as a catalyst for freedom. I saw it as a way to build something of value. I saw it as a way to break out of the UK, to break out of the 9 to 5, to finally feel as though my presence meant something to somebody. So for me, it wasn't just about getting hotter women. It really was this catalyst for freedom. It was a freedom from bullshit practice, which is really the way that I would love for you to see everything that I do. I don't see myself as a dating coach. I'm not a dating guru. I'm not a day gamer. Really, I view myself as a freedom from bullshit practitioner. And when guys work with me, about 10% of what I do for them is cold approach. The other 90% really is rewiring their entire internal belief system, allowing them to become the version of themselves that they've always wanted to be, but have been too scared to try. Maybe at the moment you're spending time around people who they don't have your best interests at heart because people want to see you do well. They don't want to see you do better than them because it holds a mirror up to who they could have been. I found this in the UK, especially in my hometown of Barrow-in-Furness in the Lake District, is that crabs in the bucket mentality where people, they were just happy with mediocrity. Do you know what I mean? They were happy working their standard jobs. Everybody in my family, they all work at the submarine factory. That's why I became a magician. I've always been the black sheep of my family because I'm just like, the fuck's the point? In 100 years' time, we're all going to be dead. So I want to live something which I actually feel as though is meaningful. I want to, in 20, 30 years, I want to look back at everything that I'm doing now and think, you know what, Christian, fair fucking play to you. Even though you didn't feel ready at the start, even though people were laughing at you, even though you used to get comments on the regular from people being like, oh, you're ugly, you're a 4 out of 10 at best, why are you wasting time trying to do cold approach, you loser? Like, you need all that stuff. Again, if everybody likes you, you're not living. So I would say this week, set the intention to be disliked, set the intention to be polarizing, which basically just means being honest. Yeah, the reason why the stereotypical bad boy is such a arousing archetype is because he just says and does what he wants, right? I think more of us, especially guys who watch this content, you probably know it in yourself. You probably know you're too nice. You probably know you're too much of a people pleaser. You probably know people in your everyday life are walking all over you. But sometimes we just need to be told. And a lot of times we need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. So if you enjoyed this live stream, drop it a like. Click the link below this video. It'll take you to my free anti-game artistry system training. It's a system that's already worked for over 200 guys. So I would suggest, after you've watched this stream, click the link below, watch the free training, understand more about how these philosophies actually work, how they can work for you. And yeah, just go out there, live a life beyond the beige, don't die with your music still inside of you. First link below this video. Love yous. Bye.